Did the eunuchs of the Ottoman harem engage in sexual relationships with the women of the harem? The Ottoman Empire's harem system was shrouded in mystery, governed by strict codes, and tightly guarded by eunuchs who were responsible for maintaining the order and security of the imperial women. However, historical speculation and rumors have long existed about the nature of relationships between the eunuchs and the women in the harem. In particular, questions have arisen regarding whether some eunuchs, despite their castration, engaged in sexual relations with the women they were tasked to protect. Eunuchs played a significant role in the administration and security of the Ottoman harem, especially black eunuchs who were imported primarily from African regions. Their physical emasculation, intended to render them harmless around women, allowed them unique access to the private chambers of the harem, a space forbidden to any other men except the Sultan. Not all eunuchs in the Ottoman Empire were fully castrated. The process was not uniform and could vary depending on the individual performing the castration and the conditions under which it took place. In many cases, the procedure left parts of the male reproductive system intact, allowing for a partial or complete recovery of sexual function over time. Though eunuchs were largely believed to be incapable of sexual activity, some historical accounts suggest that a number of them regained partial or even full sexual abilities. In cases where the castration procedure was incomplete, the eunuchs could engage in sexual relations, often secretly, with the women of the harem or the serving maids. These instances were extremely rare and difficult to document, but they persisted as rumors both within and outside the imperial palace. Any intimate interactions between eunuchs and women were strictly forbidden, but the possibility of sexual encounters could not be entirely eliminated. These illicit relationships, when they occurred, often took place in the eunuchs' quarters or other secluded areas of the palace where secrecy could be maintained. The proximity of the eunuchs to the women, coupled with the trust placed in them by the palace, created opportunities for clandestine encounters. The eunuchs' quarters were generally considered off-limits to most people within the palace, making them a potential hiding place for forbidden relationships. Some accounts suggest that women, particularly maids, would visit the eunuchs' quarters, further blurring the lines between servitude and personal relationships. If a sexual relationship between a eunuch and a woman was discovered, the consequences could be severe. The Ottoman court was known for its harsh punishments, and a woman caught engaging in such forbidden activities faced grave repercussions, especially if her infidelity was discovered while serving the Sultan or his family. In some cases, these secret relationships resulted in pregnancy, a serious offense in the tightly controlled world of the imperial harem. The pregnancy of a concubine or serving maid by a eunuch posed a direct threat to the purity of the Sultan's lineage and the carefully curated structure of the harem. The discovery of a pregnancy resulting from a relationship with a eunuch would often lead to tragic outcomes. Women found pregnant under such circumstances were either exiled to distant provinces or, more commonly, executed. In some cases, the method of execution involved being placed in a sack with heavy stones and thrown into the Bosphorus. This was a secretive and brutal way to deal with women who violated the strict codes of the harem. The execution of women for such offenses was typically carried out in secret. The preservation of the harem's dignity and the Sultan's reputation was paramount, and any scandal involving the harem had to be contained swiftly and discreetly. The methods of execution, such as drowning, were chosen for their quiet finality. Interestingly, the very eunuchs who may have been involved in these illicit relationships could also be tasked with covering up the resulting scandal. Eunuchs held great power in the palace, and their loyalty to the Sultan meant that they were involved in enforcing punishment just as much as they were in carrying out their usual duties. Though such relationships were rare, they represent an undercurrent of rebellion against the strict control of the harem system. The secrecy surrounding these encounters and the harsh punishments for any breaches of conduct illustrate the pressures and constraints faced by both the women and the eunuchs of the Ottoman harem. Today, the legacy of these stories continues to capture the imagination of historians and the general public alike. While the full extent of relationships between eunuchs and women in the harem may never be fully known, the rumors and speculative accounts offer a glimpse into the hidden world of the Ottoman court, where power, desire, and strict moral codes often clashed in the shadows of the palace walls.